Hi, and welcome to the Positive Legacy Podcast for Christian Fathers. I'm your host, Dan Hayden. After 23 years in the Army, working with and leading some of the finest men and women our nation has to offer, I turned to the coaching profession to help me write the next chapter of my life. What I didn't know was the impact it would have in my personal life as a Christian, as a father, and as a husband. That is why I have made it my mission to help Christian fathers go from miscommunication and tension in their relationships to relationships rooted in genuine understanding and mutual trust, so they can build a lasting legacy of faith and connection with their families and in their communities. As we head into Thanksgiving week, I want to talk about something that sounds simple, but can completely change the way we experience life. Gratitude. Now I know, look, that word gets tossed around a lot this time of year. But I don't mean a surface level, quote, count your blessings kind of gratitude. I'm talking about a gratitude that actually transforms the way you think. It transforms the way you lead and relate. That kind of gratitude that creates growth. Because gratitude isn't just about feeling thankful. It's about training your mind to focus on what's good, even when life feels hard. And that's where the mental fitness work we talk about so often comes in. Gratitude quiets your saboteurs, strengthens your sage, and builds the self-command to choose peace over pressure. So today, I want to talk about how we can turn gratitude into growth in 3 areas that every dad I know wrestles with: burnout, relationships, and performance. Let's start with burnout. It doesn't always look dramatic. Most of the time, it looks like slow exhaustion that creeps up until you're living on autopilot. You're doing your job, showing up for your family, but somewhere deep down, that fire has dimmed. And here's the truth. Burnout doesn't always mean you're working too hard. It often means you're carrying too much mental load. The noise of the inner critic, the saboteurs that keep whispering, you're behind, or telling you, you're not enough. For most dads, the judge and the restless saboteur are the loudest voices in that burnout cycle. The judge judges you, judges others, and judges your circumstances. And in the case of burnout, your judge is telling you that you're failing. The restless saboteur says you need to keep moving so that you don't have to feel what's really underneath. Gratitude interrupts both. When you stop and name what's good, you quiet that mental noise. You start to notice where God's hand is still at work, even in the chaos. You want to talk about chaos? I have twin teenage daughters and one other daughter who really wants to be a teenager right now. Throw a 9-year-old son in there, and life can get real chaotic, real quick. But here's how I manage it through gratitude. Every night when my head hits the pillow, I thank God for everything that comes to my mind. And not only do I fall asleep quicker, I wake up with a feeling of gratitude. And it doesn't have to be deep. Sometimes it's the smell of coffee, a laugh I shared with my kid, or just the fact that I woke up with another chance to try again. That's not ignoring the hard stuff. It's retraining your brain to see beyond it. Every time you do that, you're quieting the judge and giving your sage a chance to speak. That calmer, wiser part of you that sees the bigger picture. So if you're running on fumes this week, give this a try. Pause, breathe, and thank God for something small. You'll feel your body reset, your breathing slow down, and your mind start to unclench. That's not weakness. That's building self-command. That's choosing who leads your mind. Now let's talk about gratitude in relationships. This is where it gets powerful, and honestly, where it's hardest to live out. Because when tension builds at home or frustration creeps in at work, Gratitude is generally not our first instinct. Our saboteurs, the judge, the controller, the stickler, they all want to point out everything that's wrong or unfair. But the moment you choose gratitude, you shift from the saboteur mindset to the sage mindset. And the sage, that's where empathy, curiosity, and connection live. This is where the fruit of the Spirit lives in us. This is the place of joy, peace, and patience. It's when you can say, I see the heart behind what they tried to do. Or, I may not agree, but I can still value their effort. That's the power of gratitude. It softens your tone, opens your heart, and it lets love lead instead of ego. At home, this might look like telling your wife, hey, I really appreciate how you handled that conversation earlier, even if it didn't go quite perfectly. Or telling your son, hey, I'm proud of the effort you put in, instead of just commenting on the outcome. Those moments build trust. They say, I see you. And at work, it's just as powerful. A simple, thank you for catching that, or I appreciate how you handled that client, can shift the whole culture of your team. That's how gratitude strengthens your sage. You start to see people through the lens of grace, not performance. You notice progress instead of perfection. And that changes everything. So if you want to bring gratitude into your relationships this week, start with one question. Who can I thank today and why? That is awesome. That's a great sage habit, and it rewires your brain for connection. Finally, let's talk about gratitude and performance, how it impacts the way you lead and work. When your attention is scattered, when you're pulled in 10 different directions, it's easy to slip into reaction mode, bouncing between tasks, chasing outcomes, or comparing yourself to others. That's where self-command comes in. That's our ability to quiet the noise and choose your focus. Gratitude helps you do that. Because every time you stop and give thanks, you're training your mind to come back to the present moment. You're saying, I'm here, and this is enough. That's not just spiritual maturity. That's mental discipline. In chapter 3 of his letter to the Colossians, Paul said, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. Gratitude puts that verse into motion. When you approach your work from a place of thankfulness, you're not hustling to prove something. You're showing up to serve something. Before I sit down to write or coach or lead a call, I take at least 30 seconds to thank God for that opportunity, for the tools I have, the people I get to serve, and the grace that got me here. That small practice builds focus. It's a self-command rep, reminding my mind who is really in charge. And you can do the same. Before you walk into a meeting, before you open your inbox, before you pull into your driveway, pause, breathe, and say, thank you, Lord, for this moment. That's it. That's all there is to it. And that's how gratitude turns performance into purpose. So this Thanksgiving week, here's my encouragement. Don't just list what you're grateful for. Live it. Let gratitude quiet the voices that drain you. Let it strengthen the part of you that listens with empathy and leads with grace. And let it build the self-command to stay present, even when life feels like too much. That's how gratitude becomes growth. Not by changing your circumstances, but by changing you in the middle of them. And if you want to go deeper in this kind of growth, learning how to quiet your saboteurs, strengthen your sage, and building self-command, I want to invite you to two things. First, on Sunday, November 30th, I'm hosting a live masterclass called Navigating Conflict, Turning Challenges into Kingdom Opportunities. It's for Christian fathers who want to stop living in constant reaction mode and start leading from calm, grounded confidence. both at work and at home. You can register for free using the link in the show notes. And if you're ready to take that growth journey even further, join me inside my Positive Legacy Academy. This is my signature 12-month coaching program for Christian fathers who want to communicate better, rebuild trust, and lead their families with peace, purpose, and presence. This community is more than coaching. It's a blueprint for generational impact. With ongoing group support, one-on-one coaching, and advanced mental fitness application, you become the catalyst for emotional safety, faith, and resilience in your family. Gratitude is the starting point. Growth is the outcome. Let's keep building together. Hey, thanks for listening today. If this episode encouraged you, feel free to share it with another dad who needs a reminder that gratitude isn't just a feeling. It's a discipline that shapes your legacy. Until next time, keep showing up with faith, focus, and gratitude. I'm Dan Hayden, and this is the Positive Legacy Podcast for Christian fathers.